So welcome to this interview with Hilary today in Your Desired Success, a lady who's a presenter who brings a lot of energy into this space. And I am really excited to be able to receive and learn more about Hilary in regards to what she's going to share with us. So Hilary, lovely to have you with me and us.
Oh, it's great to be here, Martin. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And how are you feeling?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's a nice bright sunny morning here, so everything's good and excited to be on this journey in YDS. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it looks like a sunny day with your background anyway.
Yeah.
So let's start off straight away with what is it you would say is the value that you bring into this space to assist other people?
Okay, so I see me kind of coming in very positive energy. I've got a passion. I'm a teacher, primary school teacher, so passion for education, and really what I see that the way I want us to sort of this journey to go is what can we bring to education to improve it. Everything about education I see, I've taught in England and Australia, and it's all about let's change standards, raise standards. Nobody goes into education to lower standards, but actually lots of these kids are being missed, and actually what can we do to help children be who they really are, the complete version of them, happy and enjoying what they do, and not just working in a job 9 to 5 because that's what society's told them to do, or they've been trained to do. So somehow I want to kind of meet people in YDS and create something that's going to inspire young people really and bring the best out in them.
Yeah, fantastic. So with regards to that then, Hilary, is this something that you feel the educational system hasn't evolved with the way that society or our environment has? Would that be a good way to it?
Absolutely, yeah. I feel that the education system is so behind. In England, our education system was designed to kind of the Industrial Revolution, and then it was kind of morphed a little bit when at the end of the Second World War to get people back into the workplace, and actually it tries to fit every child in the same box, and they're all individual people and they're all really special, and I just feel that sometimes it misses. Some people thrive obviously in that system, but there's lots that, particularly those with maybe special needs or some extra needs or they don't quite fit in that box, and it's really difficult for them, I find, to cope with it. And I think I think the whole system needs to be looked at, but that's obviously a massive job. But I just, it would be so good if we could appreciate what people love, and although you've got a real talent for whatever, let's explore that instead of, well, that's not important. Let's make sure you can get, you know what a fronted adverbial is, or punctuation is far more important than whether you're interested in how bugs live or whatever.
Yeah. So you mentioned something there that was really around like the trying to fit everybody into a box, and obviously some of us don't want to fit into a box. We're a square peg in a round hole. Have you found then that it's also a challenge for teachers like yourself who are given a curriculum or an expectation to follow, and you're like, these children need a different way, but you're restricted? Would that be your reality?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's every time I go to lots of different schools, and every school I visit, the same frustrations are there from all teachers. They want to, we all, pretty much all of us, all the ones I know, of when is the profession to inspire young minds and to facilitate learning, and we're really constricted. And well, no, you can't do that. You've got to do this. It's much more important to get tests done, and it's really constricted, and I don't know about rest of the world. I think it's very similar, but certainly in the UK, there's a real crisis in teaching. People are leaving in their droves, and they're not getting people to replace them because people just get so frustrated and say, I can't do this anymore. It's what it wasn't what I was about. It certainly wasn't what I went into the profession about to do.
Yeah. So really that's empowered you to step into creating a space really for not only, and if I'm hearing you right, and I can relate to, I mean, it was quite a while since I was at school, but I can relate to finding it hard at school because I didn't feel like I fitted in, or I felt like I wasn't being heard. And this is going back 30 years. So, and I know the world that I live in today is completely different to the one that my parents in particular grew up in when they were my age, and even grandparents. Yeah. But so we look at the kids that are the next generation of workers, even the millennials right now who I speak to, and they're like, work a job in the same place for 10 years, never mind 40, 10 years. They're like, no, why would I do that? So obviously, if, like you say, in the industrial age and so on, and the way that there was a lot that was happening there to get people ready for it, those people don't want those jobs anymore. And to be fair, those companies don't exist anymore that are lasting that amount of time. So
that's right.
I'm hearing you, and I applaud you for wanting, for one, having the courage to step forward and speak so openly about it, because there's no doubt that it's not just the children, it's even the young adults right now, and adults that are like maybe thinking, I actually need this to help me where I'm at now, because since I left school, it's been a constant struggle because it doesn't, and nothing's ever felt right.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I even feel that at school, I didn't feel I fitted it. I was okay at primary school. When I got to secondary school, it was just, I didn't do as well as I could have done. And obviously I've done okay, and I've qualified as a teacher, but that came later. And I loved, when I first started teaching, I absolutely adored it. I thought I would be there till retirement, and it just became too much, too constricting, to just, and we need people to be able to express who they really are. And I think that's part of that's what I see is an education system or a world really where we can be who we really want to be, who we really are, rather than pretending to be somebody that we're not, that fits in that round, that square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, so I think really what would be interesting to know then, based on like where you are right now, what's driving you at this stage, what was it like then growing up? Were you brought up in a family that was around teaching, or what drove you to this place of teaching?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't actually. I didn't have any aspirations to be a teacher when I was young. My mum was a single parent. I was an only child. But my grandfather, who I'd never actually met, was a head teacher. And I've got cousins who are teachers. So it does seem to be kind of a family, my son calls it a family curse, actually. But I'm not sure it's that bad. So I was around lots of teachers, and so it was always kind of there, but it's something I didn't ever want to do. And when I was a bit older and I had children, I became a teaching assistant, and really enjoyed being around the children. And I thought, you know what, I've got a degree, I could do this. I could do a year's PGCE, and I could do this. So I went back to university, and I got myself a PGCE, and I absolutely adored it to begin with. Absolutely. For many years. And then it just, like I said, it became too much. And I thought, no, I still want to inspire. So I kind of, we'll come on to that in a minute. But I do, I kind of have the best of both worlds really at the moment, I suppose.
Yeah, fantastic. So that's really then been a key driver, is seeing the evolving of a child's mind, the way that they behave. And has that been inspired from, like you said, about having your own children? So witnessing their growth, was there any kind of inspiration there, and that you wanted to really help on a greater scale than just your own children?
I think so. I think part of that would have been because I was a single parent myself as well, so I was very much on my own. and a lot of that was hard work, but it was also really rewarding to see them grow and mature and find out what they wanted to do. And I was always very, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to be, you can. And both of them are now fully grown adults and seem, both very happy, different paths. That's okay. So yeah, and then there's also. And part of me as well, I absolutely loved being in the classroom and teaching, for a year. I've got these, 26, 28, 30 children, and it's great to see the evolving of them each year, and how much they grow, and that is really wonderful. And then part of me, when I was kind of thinking of changing path a little bit, I thought, 30 children a year, it's not many to touch, really, to inspire. There's kind of, I was like, it's not enough. I want kind of more than just that. And then I've written some children's books as well, so they're hopefully in contact with some publishers, so that's something else that can, and that's all about being who you are as well, and they're all kind of linked, and so that's quite exciting. So I'm thinking that I'll reach more children there. And also that now I do what we call here supply work, which is kind of bank work, and I go into different schools and I teach, which is really lovely because I often have a little kind of, maybe a 3-month contract somewhere, so I get to know the children, and then I go, right, off you go, bye, love you, that's great, you're brilliant, and I go to another school and see the same thing. So it's like, that's really nice, and I do the best bit of the job without all the other stuff that goes with it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's a good way as well of impacting more children's lives in a small window of opportunity. Would that be the right way to describe it?
Yeah, definitely.
So with regards to the books, what was it then that inspired you around the books?
I'd always had this idea that I could write some children's books, and there was, when I was teaching, I remember thinking that there was kind of a gap in the market for some of the topics that are in the curriculum, and it's like there might be non-fiction books, etc. So it's like, well, what about fiction books to help teach the grammar and the writing in a way that's interesting to children. So kind of that's one of the ways that I kind of started thinking, well, I could do that. I could, and I've actually used some of the work, the things that I've written with classes, and it's gone down really well. So that's always because children can be they are really the most honest people that you can get.
Yeah. Absolutely lovely.
Yeah, so I kind of thought, there's gaps there. What could I do? I'm sure I could write books, and so I started kind of doing notes, and then there's a few different kind of sets of books that are in the pipeline, shall we say? So it's exciting.
So do you get ideas from the kids for your books?
Oh yeah, definitely. Sometimes, yeah.
Wow.
And they just. Yeah, it's kind of they can get ideas from them because I don't quite understand how that works, and then you think, well, and particularly as a teacher, when you're in the when you're teaching a child and that light bulb goes on, that's why you do the job, and they go, oh yeah, and you're just like, that could help some others. So then you think, right, get it down. Yeah. So I've got I carry notebooks everywhere I go. So, right.
So what's been obviously there's inspiration there from the kids, and we do know that they have an incredible imagination, and they don't hold back in many cases, if not every case. What's been then your experience with what I described before around the more to do with the parents of these kids? Have you seen like the opportunities to work closer with parents, and do you think parents are open to that, or do you think parents are at the angle of, I've already done my schooling, I don't want any more? To be able to adapt with the children, especially in this time.
I think yeah, there are many parents that are open to helping their children. They want their best for their children. You know, pretty much all parents want the best for their children, and if you can offer some help, and you know, you see a massive difference, for instance, between, you know, those parents who just support the children and allow them to be who they want to be. They're the children that thrive. They're the children that just and get interest. You know, that, for instance, that, so the way I teach, I've often taught topics when I've been when I've had a class for a long time, is, you know, we'll go, oh right, okay, we've got to teach about the monarchs of England now or something. It's one of the topics that we have to teach here. So we'll split that up into little different groups, and it might be about how they lived. It might be different, you know, like a different particular monarch, or it might be about the houses that they lived in, that rich or poor or whatever. And we'll split that into different sections, and then the children choose what they want to do, rather than me saying, right, we're all going to learn about this. Mm-hmm. They go and research it. They then, the work that they do in school is linked with the work they do at home. And some of the projects we've had have just been incredible, from children that have been, you know, spent time with dad in the shed and built, you know, a house this kind of big, a Tudor house or whatever. And we had one child that made a ducking stool, which wasn't quite full size, but pretty big. And this, I remember this child was he just didn't like school. And he was just, hate school, it's boring, da 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 da. And I remember a comment he made when we were doing some research on the topic, and he's just like, oh, this is the best subject ever. And I was like, what? What? Wow.
Yeah.
And when you can just reach a child who's just not engaging, it's just, yeah, that's why we all do. That's why any teacher does the job.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's really empowering to hear. So let's bring it back to you. And also to, even though it has been around you, but respectfully, we'll let the kids go on and play in their own break now. But what are your values that really help you show us, see who you are, and you show who you are? What would you say your values are right now?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot, because there's so many to choose from, aren't there? But I think, you know, my values, I think freedom is definitely a value that I think freedom of choice. Everybody needs to be able to do what they want to do, not what somebody tells them to do. So freedom, I would say, definitely. Creativity is another one. And they kind of go, I feel they go hand in hand, because creativity is sometimes squashed. And I think it's so important for us to be creative and just to appreciate how empowering that can be, to create something from nothing. You know, everything we've got in this world started with somebody's imagination. Everything, not even just, well, no, that didn't. We've always had cars. No, somebody was creative enough to think, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
You know, we can do that. And without that, there's nothing, is there? You know, that's so creativity is definitely, and I think fairness is a really important thing. And that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody gets the same. It's more, are we all being fair, and seeing everybody as equal, and but not the same. If that, they're not equal as in the same, but as of equal value. You know, somebody, just because one person's, you know, I often see, you know, people can get so down on themselves because they don't see themselves as good at something, and actually we're all good at something.
Yeah,
everybody is good at something, and if we can focus on what we're good at, I mean, this is children and adults, we can focus on what we're good at rather than what we're not good at, then people will be happier, and people will be, you know, more inclined to help others and to offer serve. You know, I just feel it would be a better, you know. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, beautiful. Share. When you mention freedom comes up quite a lot with people, and I'm always curious as to what freedom actually means to the individual. So, what does freedom mean to you?
I for me, freedom it's the freedom to choose, whatever that might be. So freedom to make my own mind up about whatever it is I want to do. So if I want to, go and travel the world and live in a tent, then that's up to me. And, it's really got nothing to do with anybody else. And freedom to do and to be whatever I want to be without judgment, without, well, you should be doing that. And that, I think that's freedom for me.
Do you think that there's a strong judgment because of you being female and your age? I say it's 100% with love and respect. Do you think that there's a lot of judgment toward like females in particular, who maybe your kids have grown up? I'm assuming your kids have grown up, are they? Yeah. So, like, is there that kind where you feel there's the lack of opportunity of freedom because of society's constraints of what we allow to control us?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, going back to my teaching profession and my career. So I before I decided to leave my permanent post and go and do kind of supply work, I did apply for some other jobs, and I'm not very good at interviews. I guess my confidence had been knocked quite a lot because it was just sort of constantly drip. Anyway, I didn't get any jobs. But the way that the system works in this country is you obviously go up the pay scale as the more experience you get, but schools have to pay for that experience. So an experienced teacher is probably twice the price to a school of a newly qualified teacher. So unless you're prepared to go into leadership or take on extra responsibilities, it's really difficult for experienced teachers to get a job somewhere else because they're just too expensive.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. That
really and that I know I found really, really frustrating, and I know that lots of teachers that I talk to now find that they want to change schools, but they just we can't. We're not happy, but we can't. And also there's this, society's very much, well, you've got to, your pension's really good, so you've got to stay in that job because otherwise you'll lose your pension and it won't be as good and you won't be able to retire. And it's like, you know what, we should be able to do what we, paid into that pension for X many years, and we should be able to take that money bundle with us and go on to a different career should we so choose. But yeah, it does feel very difficult to sometimes change direction. Yeah.
Which obviously then is not freedom at all.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, wow. So what is it then that you've covered around some of the things that have been inspiring you along the journey, and that clear passion for helping children in particular, and parents, but certainly children, this generation that's coming through and the generations that you've impacted thus far. What is it that really excites you in your day-to-day life? What is it that's something that like really lights you up?
Oh, that's I think for me it's that supporting of anybody really that wants some help, that I love helping people. I love being able to offer, and I'm not saying I'm an expert or, I love connecting with people that, and you might offer one another help. That really empower, just to, oh yeah, I hadn't seen it that way, and that might be me or somebody else. And I love connecting with other people that lift and inspire and see the world from this place where we can do something to change things. We're not stuck. I think that for me is it. Just that's where I want to go. I want to go down a road where we can have an impact, and we can just change things just for the better, so that everybody's happier.
Yeah, lovely. and you never know who you're going to meet. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's, you never know the conversation that's going to take place, and the light bulb moment that goes off, or the ability to just hold space for somebody who needs it and think, do you know what? Wow, today I'm going to bed thinking, I actually was there for somebody that I'd never met before, and they're now going to bed in a happier state because I chose to show up.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, that's the sort of thing that, yeah, wow. That's what you get up for, is to do, and it might not even be you, it might be them sharing with you, because you just don't know.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the biggest things that I've become aware of in this space is, like you used the word before around like connecting and connection, of when we just choose to show up, we never know what's going to happen. And it's sometimes somebody can be in a space where they're just sharing, and it's very easy to let the ego take control and go, well, why am I sat here listening to this person? I don't even know who they are, and that it's their problem, not mine, which is 100% ego. But there's this beautiful shift that takes place when we let go of that and we just be present for them, and even if it's just holding space, sending them love, whatever it is. And there's always something I've found that in every experience, I've either been able to find a way to reflect on my past, to learn a lesson from my past in that moment, or something in the future happens, and I'm like, oh, whoa, hang on a minute, this was like what so-and-so was saying on that call. And I think that's what's so beautiful. Everything is happening for such a bigger reason than we often are able to see in the exact moment, but it's happening for us to grow and learn from. And even that right there, when you're sharing about your journey and the impact on the children. And interestingly enough, I was thinking about it this morning of my primary school teachers, and I've never ever forgotten Mrs. Rigby, and she's not with us anymore, but she was so positive, and she was such an inspiration to us as kids, and she was always coming down and doing sports, and she was just so encouraging. And then there's another teacher who I was only in a class for a little bit, but Mrs. Allen, and she was terrifying. She was absolutely terrifying. And it's crazy to think that as a child, I still, well, now as an adult, but even when I go back there, I've got a teacher that really showed up as inspiration to me, and a teacher that showed up terrifying me. And still to this day, I think, oh, I wouldn't want to be back in her presence, because of how I remember her. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, to be able to have these opportunities in life where we can make an impact. And how are we remembered? You know, I think between the years of being born and 8, we're totally open, and a lot of the way our belief systems and so on are created in those times through the people we're around. And when we look at it, a lot of the time is spent with teachers at schools. So there's this ingrained influence from a young age, and then we go obviously into the workforce where we spend most of our time, and there's more stuff happening. And I think that's what's so beautiful about what you've been sharing, is the ability to help nurture, not say this is my way and this is the only way and it is, but like you were noticing and stepping back and going, here's a topic, let's see what happens, what these children do. And that beautiful thing of going home inspired, and then inviting the parents into that to help. I think that's fantastic, rather than this is it, I don't want to do it, it's my homework, and then the parents trying to motivate the child so the child doesn't get in trouble, and no one wants to be doing it, and the teacher no doubt doesn't want to even be marking it.
And the kids just loved it. I mean, they just loved making stuff and doing stuff. And some of them, because I always used to get them to do a little presentation. And they just, look, I did this and I made this with my dad, and or whatever it was. And it was just like, wow, these kids have just really stepped up, and so many skills, so many things are learned in preparing and doing that. Yeah, just really good.
So with everything that, because you've obviously received a lot from children in your environment as well, what would you say would be, if you could give one golden nugget of advice to anybody based on your life experience, Hilary, what would be that one golden nugget you can just pull out right now and drop?
Do what you love. Do what inspires you, and do it for you. There's no point in doing it for anybody else, because if you're doing it for somebody else, it's not your dream. Do it for you. Follow your instinct, your gut. Like, if it feels right, do it. Because sometimes, you know, when you get there's a decision or whatever that needs to be made, and you just, there's no doubt, and you just go, well, this is what I'm doing. You know, I'm doing it. And, you know, I know when I left my career, and I know that people even said to me, well, what are you going to do? You're crazy. You can't just leave. You can't leave a job. You've got all the security, and what about your pension? And I'm like, I can't. I'm leaving because it'll be okay. And it has been. I mean, I left in 2018, and it's been fabulous. I've met so many more children. I've met so many more teachers. I've travelled more. Well, I did, and then we'll be coming back to that. And you know, it's just been such an incredible journey. But people did actually. Well, what, you can't possibly just leave. Yeah, I can. Yeah. So I think it's follow what you want to do. You can't do it for anybody else. You've got to be happy, because as well, we can't give from an empty cup. I always find that, and I see that in teaching. You know, teachers are expected to give, but they're never given anything. And actually, that's what would be wonderful, would be a place of education that supports everybody that's in it. The teachers, the parents, the support staff, who are incredible, and the learners. But every single person needs to be uplifted and told how, and thanked. That was the biggest thing I noticed, I have to say, when I went to supply work from being in a permanent post. I was thanked every day. I hadn't had that for years.
Yeah.
And I was thanked by I mean, to be fair, the parents had always been very thankful and grateful, but yeah, to be thanked by leadership, and it was, wow. This is wow.
Do you think that there is, when you're employed like as a permanent in the school, do you think there's that angle of you're just there all the time, so there's no need to say thank you all the time? Whereas when it's a short term, it's, oh, lovely to meet you. Thank you for being with us. All the best. That kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, it's that, I guess it's also that, again, it comes back to the freedom. I could have walked out at any point, and in those, you know, my first job, I went to a school for a week, and I was there for 18 months.
Yeah.
And I was thanked every day, but I could have at any point said, it's not for me, I'm leaving. And I think it is that freedom to choose, that freedom to, and almost, it's really interesting.
Yeah, good. Thanks for sharing that. It's interesting to hear it from an outsider as well, as to the way that things go on in there. So what's bringing it into the YDS space? What are the people, or rather, who are the people that you're looking for to be able to connect with and to share your value and receive from them? Who are these people that you're looking to connect with?
That's a really good question. I'm guessing it's anybody who has an interest at all in how the next generation are coming in and being inspired, etc. I'm not sure I've got the vision yet on how it's going to happen, but I somehow know that we're going to have an impact on the next step of education, because it has got to change. It has, something's got to shift, and everything starts somewhere. So let's start with something little and let's see where it goes. Like you say, we don't know who we're going to meet. You know, it could be somebody we meet somebody on a call and they've got some connections, and then it's like all of a sudden that momentum's growing and it's a snowball, and whoa, off we are. We've got something. So it's anybody really that's got an interest in education, I would say, and how we can make that better, because it needs to be made better. And I think it could be so wonderful to just inspire people to do what's right for them. Yeah.
Beautiful. So really you're looking to connect as well with more teachers who are thinking this way, and
Yes.
possibly homeschooling parents.
Absolutely. Yeah, very good point. Yeah. Any particularly people, yes. So people, particularly, I suppose, homeschooling parents, because I would imagine their faith in the system is kind of, that's why they're homeschooling, because it's going to be a hard job. But yeah, I can say, and I think, you know, the last 2 years has probably it has given a lot of people time to go, do you know what, this isn't okay, the way that things are going, and there needs to be a change. And I also, I do, you know, my experience with, you know, friends who work for, you know, in the private sector and things, and it's almost sometimes, not all companies, but it seems that some companies are kind of, well, you have to do it our way or you're not going to be here, and it's almost that control, and they're trying to hold on to the control where people are saying, actually, no, okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
And it's almost like this, oh, we can't let it go. Well, it's going to have to be let go, because things need to shift, and I think I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that as with parents more losing, you know, if we just use the language of losing faith in the system, it creates the opportunity for more of those teachers who believe there's a better way to step into that space. There's obviously the unknown, like you were talking about before, and the judgment, external judgment of, what are you doing? You're nuts. You're going to leave something that's secure and safe. And it's like, yes, but the ship's taking on water and we can't bail it out. And to be fair, the captain's telling us not to bail it out. And it's like, well, we've got to do what's right, not only for self, but more importantly for the children. And it's a sad thing when powers that be don't listen to the teachers. And it's like, well, this is the way it is. And it's, well, not in the classroom, it's not. And that's where it's all happening. So I think that one of the big things that can potentially come from this is those people, because we're all people at the core, those people who know things need to change. They need that person, and those other people who are shining the torch light, who've got the candle with the flame lit and saying, hey, come with your candle, let's light together and let's create something so beautiful together. You don't need to be sat there in the dark on your own. And I'm really excited about what we can co-create here, because I've had conversations with other people who are also in the exact same space, Hilary, wanting things to change. And some of them are like, you know, but I don't know how to do it. And it's like, don't concern yourself with the how. Just be very clear that that's exactly what you want to do. And people, you know, especially when you're talking there, you're expressing it, and I'm going, I already know 3 people who will resonate, and it's that then the connections that then amplifies the importance of the mission.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know from the Masterminds, and I'm really curious to hear this from yourself, what's been your experience as a member of being on a live mastermind and just being around like-minded people? What is it that you've received from that?
Oh, just so much. Just, it's those nuggets, like you were talking about before, those nuggets of those absolute golden nuggets where you go, and you might have heard it 20 times before from different people, and all of a sudden you go, oh my God, yes, that's me, or I can so resonate with that, or Oh yeah, and the energy you get as well from these live masterminds, that's just incredible, because you can maybe it's at, the end of the day and you're feeling a bit tired and you think, oh, I don't want to go on this mastermind, and you go on and then you're like, whoa, that was just amazing. And it is, like you say, is these like-minded people who we don't necessarily know exactly where it's going, but we know it's going in the right direction, and it's just knocking ideas from one another. And there's no particular aim. There is kind of an end goal, there's a solution to something and to make life better, but it's not we must hit 100 sales this month. It's not that. It's very different, and it's more fluid, and it just flows, and it's that energy, that those golden nuggets, and just the connections you make with people that can change your life.
Yeah, beautiful way to sum it up there. I think one of the things that I've experienced as well is that ability to become a better person, and like the ability to respond rather than react. Because whenever we react with somebody else, there's always this remorse, this anger, and this consuming of let's say negative energy, that we know it wasn't the right thing to do, and we know we need to apologize. And I think that the biggest thing for me has been how I've been able to become better and be more calm and present, and actually listen to what people say rather than what I believe they've said, like my own interpretation, which then you look and go, well, if I've become a better son or a better partner, a better brother, what is the actual price on that? And then what will happen is my relationships will increase. They'll improve around me, and things that used to bother me don't bother me as much anymore, or don't bother me at all. And therefore I'm not getting stressed as easily. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that I've noticed has taken place in myself, through connecting with other people. And I know that some people go, oh well, it's about getting money on the table and things like this, and it's like, it's always going to be about money on the table. But if you can't get along with your family members, or you're having arguments with your friends, or you've broken up with your partner for the third time in the year, you're the problem. Like, you've got to do something.
And also absolutely. And then things can get so bad when you're stressed that you give yourself an illness, and which can be fatal, and then you're dead, and then you can't take it with you anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah.
Because none of us.
Sorry.
I was just say, none of us getting out alive. That's one of my favourite sayings.
Yeah, there's one thing for certain. And that's the thing of, there's things that happen external of us, and it's how we are able to then deal with those things. Like you said, there's been times where I've gone, do you know what, I'm too tired, I'm not going to get on the call. And exactly that, I've got on the call and been like, wow, that was exactly what I needed. And I think that's what's so beautiful about other people showing up, to just be present and show up. And whatever the topic's going to be, the conversations, the things that come up, so sometimes it's so empowering, and you really couldn't predict it. Now, even on the topics, I've got on calls where I facilitated, or I've been just as an attendee, and we've had a topic, but then there's been other conversations, nothing to do with the topic, and it's gone, wow, I needed to hear that. If I hadn't have shown up, I wouldn't have received it. So it's I resonate with what you've been sharing there. And just to as we come to wrap this up, you're going to be facilitating calls in the community, and very much of what you're inspired to do. What are those areas that you're going to be talking more about, that people can access to connect with you more around?
Well, definitely around education. We're going to talk about education and how we can make things better. How can we inspire one another, really? Because it is all about inspiring one another and giving of ourselves to, it just might be a little, it's not necessarily I know what you need to hear. It's let's talk about this and find out together. It's that supporting one another. So for me, I guess the education part of it is going to be more, how can we support children? How can we support each other to just make this world a better place and to make people happier? Because when people are happier, they're less stressed and things are just things flow much nicer, much better, and everything's downstream, and it's easier. Life is easy. Life can be we can choose whether life is easy or difficult, and actually how can we make it easier for everyone? That's how. So it's really about education and how we can educate ourselves and the young people that we've got coming through.
Fantastic. Well, at the end of the day, if we're starting with the parents, that's automatically going to influence in the home environment and vice versa. So I just want to say thank you, Hilary, for joining me today and sharing a little bit more about yourself, and obviously for what you're going to be bringing into this space to empower and inspire other people, especially the adults that are here, but as well the kids that we're going to be able to influence as well as we go on this journey. So thank you so much for choosing to be here with us today.
Oh, thank you. It's been really, really lovely to chat to you, and excited about this step of the journey. It's going to be great.
Fantastic. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.